the channel once again. Once again we are with a new video, and this is gonna be the third video on our Act 4 Scene 1, The Tempest. For the last 3 videos I have been continuing with this Act 4 Scene 1, if you remember, and just to recapitulate with the last video. If you remember, I said that there are obviously there are 2 parts for the scene. The first part that we have been continuing for last 2 videos, if you remember, which involves Prospero, who seems to be contented with the trials that he took from Ferdinand. And if you remember, there's a term called mask, which I also explained in the last video, where Prospero desires to have a mask, a prominent feature of Shakespearean romantic comedies, where he calls for the spirits to disguise themselves like the goddesses. There were 3 main characters, 3 main spirits rather, who disguise themselves something like there's a character, if you remember, Iris, the goddess of rainbow, the messenger of Juno. Then she calls for another spirit, that is Ceres, and another one, that is obviously Juno, the queen of the heaven. And this is how all 3 the goddesses, they came and they shower their blessings on the newly wedded couple, that is Ferdinand and Miranda. So this is one part of the scene. Now today I'm going to move on to the next part of the scene, which I have already given you some hint, if you remember, which mingles together another plot of the play. Just to recapitulate with the term called the plot, if you remember, basically the word plot, it will take us back to our class 10th lessons in Merchant of Venice, where also there is something called main plot and something called subplot. So today I've written out here like the main plot for our play, that is Tempest. Now this main plot here, it involves only one character, the prominent character, the protagonist of the play, that is Prospero, and his desire to take his revenge from his enemies. Now this involves Prospero's his past life, his introduction as the Duke of Milan, and how he was wronged by his brother, that is Antonio. So this entire play, it actually revolves around how Prospero, he was thrown out of his dukedom, how he came to this island along with Miranda, and how with the help of his magical powers he is devising different norms and different directions where he can actually take back his revenge from his enemies. So out here the main plot which involves Prospero and his desire for the revenge. Now there are basically 3 subplots which also involves the other important characters of the play. The first subplot, as I have written out here, and which if you remember, immediately the ship was wrecked, and how Ariel dispersed the characters from each other, and thus this Antonio, Sebastian, Alonso and Gonzalo, these 4 characters, they also form one of the subplots, or subplot number 1, as you can mark it out here. Now Act 2 Scene 1. Now this group of people, which also involves the other lots such as Adrian and Francisco, and the basic intention behind this subplot, that is obviously a plan of assassination, the plan to assassinate King Alonso. So subplot number 1, which involves these 4 characters, and there's this plan that is planted between Antonio and Sebastian, and the plan is obviously to kill King Alonso and to take over the throne of Naples. So when we move on to the subplot number 2, which also involves the 3 important characters of the play. The first character, that is Caliban, whom we came across for the first time in Act 1 Scene 2, and when he goes to fetch some fuel, he comes across the 2 other characters, if you remember. One of them, that is the butler, other one is obviously the fool, the joker to the king, that is Trinculo. So these 3 characters basically they form the subplot number 2. So this subplot number 2, the basic intention behind this subplot is obviously another plan of assassination, and this plan to assassinate is none other than our Duke, the Duke of Milan, that is our Prospero. But out here, for these 3 characters, they are unknown of the real identity that Prospero has for them. Prospero is someone, according to Caliban, who has wrongly occupied this island. So basic intention behind their plan to assassinate Prospero Prospero is basically to take over this particular island where Stefano can be claimed as the king and making Miranda to be his queen. When we move on to the third subplot of the play, which also involves now the glimpse of which we actually come across towards the ending of Act 1, Scene 2, the time when Ferdinand reaches to the island and as soon as they fell in love with each other. So basically, when we talk about Act 4, Scene 1, it is the mingling of these two subplots. The mingling of these two subplots. There is obviously our Miranda and Ferdinand, the trial, the tests, all the trials that have how Ferdinand has been tested by given by so many difficult menial jobs which Prospero hands over to Ferdinand, where he was asked to carry logs and wood and all that. So basically, towards the beginning of this act 4, Scene 1, which involves the mask scene, here we are exactly to the subplot number 3. Subplot number 3, which involves once again Miranda and Ferdinand, and how their marriage is solemnized, how different spirits they appear disguising themselves as goddesses, and how they shower their blessings on the two newly wedded couples. Now, while moving to the next part of the scene, now we are talking about Act 4, Scene 1 only. So in the second part of the scene, here we come across the mingling. Like I said, this scene is obviously the mingling of these two characters, two subplots rather. And now the second part of the scene, it involves, if you remember the last time we came across the three characters, Caliban, the Trinculo and Stefano, the time when they were actually planning how to assassinate Prospero. So, and if you remember, Caliban comes with the suggestion that afternoon would be the ideal time, the time when Prospero takes his rest. That would be the time ideal for them to execute their plan. So that would be the time when they would stealthily enter the Prospero's cave, and first of all, they would seize the book of magic, the main weapon that Prospero has, and ultimately they will, with the help of nails, they will break apart the head, the skull of Prospero, and thereby they would kill Prospero. So the last part of this scene, Act 4, Scene 1, as soon as the mask that is going on, there's this different spirits, they appear, in the form of dancers. There's a scene of ceremony, but immediately we find as I'm gonna read out some part of the text as well. So in the next part of the scene, we find this encounter, the encounter between Prospero and the rest of the three conspirators. That is obviously Caliban, Trinculo, and Stefano. Now this is the time when Ariel comes in, and Ariel actually tries to remind his master that my master, don't forget in this happy jolly mood, don't forget the conspirators who are on their way to come to our cave, to come to your caves now. So I'm going to read out the text. It is somewhere in line number 123. As you can go to the text. Now here we have already done away with the mask part, the desire that Prospero had to show some of his vanity upon this young couple. So in line number 123, Prospero, he comes to the audience actually. Now where at the backdrop of the stage, the dancers are performing their performance, and now Prospero comes towards the audience, and he says that I had forgot the foul conspiracy of the beast Caliban and his confederates against my life. So he goes slowly towards the audience, and he tries to remind the audience sitting out there that in this mask ceremony, by looking at this outstanding performance, somehow as if I had forgotten the conspirators who had been plotting against my life. Now this is the time for me. I need to deal with that particular business as well. And he says that the minute of their plot is almost come. The encounter, their revenge, the plan that they have planted, that has already come to its meat. Now this is the time for me. The need of the hour is for me is to meet my enemies out there. Then Now for Ferdinand and Miranda, as they all were enjoying the performance, they were a bit worried to see why Prospero has got so much annoyed, where all of a sudden in this happy atmosphere, why Prospero has got angry. So Ferdinand inquires by saying that, so this is strange. Your father is some passion that works him strongly. So Ferdinand, looking at the distress sort of Prospero, Ferdinand inquires to Miranda that there must be some wrong with your father. So I really want to know this. Now Miranda tries to assure Ferdinand by saying that never till this day saw I him touched with anger so distempered. So even Miranda also assures by saying that till now I have never seen my father to get so much angry. And finally, Prospero reveals his state of mind to Ferdinand as well as to Miranda, and also to the audience, where he declares that you do look, my son, in a moved sort, as if you were dismayed. Be cheerful, sir. So he says that there's nothing. I have some other works also, other business also to perform. So you need not to bother about my mental state. And finally, he asks Ferdinand. He says that in the as there is in the text, and he says that, sir, I am vexed, where with my weakness my brain is troubled. So sir, I beg your pardon for the fact that my brain, it is now troubled. I am thinking a lot of other things as well, but he doesn't give actually a hint that what exactly he is thinking all about. But only thing that he wants, he desires to have, that is, he wants a turn or two. I'll walk to still my beating mind. So only thing that he says to Ferdinand and Miranda, that I'll take a walk till the time my mind gets cooled down. Okay, and Ferdinand and Miranda, both of them, they take their leave, and that is the time when Ariel who enters, and Ariel starts by saying that my thoughts I cleave to what is thy pleasure. Though Ariel already knows that why his master all of a sudden he is in a changed sort of mind, but Prospero then finally he makes that declaration to the audience also by saying that the spirit, we must prepare to meet Caliban right now. Now this is the enough of the performance, enough of the mask, right? All of that. But this is the time. Let us meet to our conspirators, the criminals who dared to take my life. Then Ariel once again he tries to remind Prospero that my master, my commander, when I presented Ceres, I thought to have told of thee, but I feared the lest I might anger thee. So Ariel also says that my master, I too was thinking of this to remind you when Ceres, if you remember, the spirit who performed disguising as the goddess Ceres. So Ariel says that I was also thinking to remind you, but I didn't dare. I thought that it might anger you. Now the Prospero, he inquires Ariel that what is the condition, where are the conspirators right now, or what is their state right now, where are they exactly right now. Now from line number 158, Ariel he starts giving the description of the conspirators, where exactly they are right now, and he starts by saying that I told you, sir, they were red hot with drinking. If you remember, Stefano, the butler, who proclaimed that he has started making kind of a liquor, taking the ingredients of this from this island only. And this is what we saw in Act 2, Scene 2 also, that how badly those criminals, they started drinking. So now Ariel introduces to the audience by saying that by now these conspirators, they are completely mad out of drinking a lot, and so full of valor that they smote the air for breathing in their faces. Now they are so full of courage right now, ultimately because of their hangover, because of the effect of the liquor, that they are full of valor, that they are smoting with their swords into the air as if anything they want to cut which is coming on their way, even the air also. And beat the ground for kissing their feet and always bending towards their project, and they are also challenging to the ground that how dare the soil to touch their feet. And he continues by saying that, and then I beat my tower, at which like unbaked cords they pricked their ears and advanced their eyelids. And this how, if you remember, Ariel, this is what the device that he has been using. He used to play his tower and he used to attract the characters, dispersing them from each other. And this is how even Ariel is giving us the description by saying that he played that flute and the tower which attracts these conspirators towards the sail of Prospero. And now Ariel made them to walk like the calf, like they my loving followed through tooth briars, sharp fuzzes, pricking grass and thorns which entered their frail and shins. At last I left them in the filthy mantled pool beyond your sail. They are dancing up to their chin. So finally I placed them into the dirty mantled pool and the dirty water that has come up to their chin. So right now they are in that very dirty mantled pool beside your sail. Okay, this makes Prospero also to feel happy, or rather satisfied, when he learns that his conspirators are in such a distorted state right now, and therefore he says that this was well done, my bird. Thy shape invisible retain thou still. The trumpery in my house, go bring it hither for the stale to catch these thieves. If you remember from the time again, I have been trying to remind you, even this is what we saw in class 11 as well. There are basically three weapons that Prospero uses whenever he tries to charm, whenever he needs to act upon some magic, if you remember. So first of all, he has that book of magic, then he has that magical garment. Now he is asking for that magical garment to be brought from his chamber there, and he has also got a magical wand. Okay, so now this is the time when Prospero feels that now he is no longer a Duke of Milan right now, or he is no longer a father to Miranda right now. So he needs to act as a magician in order to punish these three conspirators, and therefore he asks Ariel to go to my chamber and bring that magical garment for me. And immediately Ariel takes his leave to go to Prospero's cell to bring that magical garment to Prospero once again. And this Prospero's disgust, you can say. So many times Prospero has regretted for the fact that he tried to train Caliban in a human way, but today it seems that his effort has been failed. So many times Prospero has tried to remind Caliban by saying that I am the person who have taught you language, I am the person who has provided you with the food. Now once again he is regretting for the fact that as if all his teachings have been failed, because if the teachings have been successful, then how comes such a trainee has dared to make a conspiracy against his own life only. So from line number somewhere 776, where Prospero is talking about, or he is once again is regretting for the fact that he somehow he had some soft corner for Caliban from the time when he came to this island, and he tried to train him in a human way, but all his teachings have been failed. So finally he starts by saying that a devil, a born devil, on whose nurture can never stick. So Caliban is a born devil, and no teaching, no kind of education, nothing can change that inborn quality which he received from his mother, which Sycorax. And he says that on such creatures education makes no impact. So he is such a creature, he is such a born devil that no kind of education that can actually change him. And he continues by saying that, and that on whom my pains humanly taken, all lost, quite lost. And he says that all the teaching, all the effort, all the pain that I took, I tried to educate Caliban, as if it seems to me today that everything has been lost, everything has been failed. And he also continues by saying in line number 179, as with his age, his body grows uglier and his mind cankers. So not only outwardly Caliban looks ugly, his mind is also full of cankers, okay, and which no education, no kind of teaching can actually change such. Now as we move on to the text, we find that finally these three characters, they come near to Prospero's cell, and one by one they keep on stealthily entering to the Prospero's cell. But if you remember, as far as their plan is concerned, their plan is not to see how beautiful this cave is or what are the different items are being kept in that cell, but it seems that it is only Caliban who remains stick to their plan. But when the other two drunkards, Trinculo and Stephano, they saw the different clothes and different other items that are kept into the closet of Prospero, they start seizing the clothes one after another, and there's a fight or there's a clash between Caliban, between Trinculo and Stephano regarding that which particular fine cloth that who would take the share. And ultimately, looking at the different glossy clothes and garments, they kept on diverting from their main plan, okay, the main plan, that is to kill Prospero. Though Caliban, he attempts a lot, he tries a lot to remind Stephano and Trinculo regarding their main scheme of business, that is to kill Prospero and why did they come here. But ultimately it seems that by looking at the different items and the clothes which are there in Prospero's cell, these two characters, Trinculo and Stephano, they have completely forgotten why they actually came to Prospero's cell. And finally, when the scene ends, we find that Prospero calls for his different spirits who appear in the form of dogs and hounds, and they kept on chasing these three conspirators, ultimately taking them out of the stage. The next video will start with the last scene of the play, that is Act 5, Scene 1. Thank you.